This skincare brand does not need more products. It may not even need more marketing. What it may need is a better system for helping customers understand what to buy, return after their first order, and build a lasting relationship with the brand. And this is where many founder led businesses get growth wrong. So they assume that growth means launching more products, posting more content, running more ads, hiring more people, and adding more channels. But sometimes the next stage of growth is not about adding more. Sometimes it is about connecting what already exists and what already works. Today, I'm breaking down a founder led skincare business that has already built something many brands struggle to create: clear identity, genuine customer affection, and a founder story people can emotionally connect with. But it also faces a very interesting challenge. How do you grow a business that was intentionally rebuilt to be simpler without turning it back into the complicated, demanding business the founder wanted to move away from? And that is what we are going to diagnose today. Before I begin, this is an independent outside analysis based only on publicly available information. I do not have access to the company's internal financial data, customer retention numbers, margins, inventory reports, or any workflows. The brand and the founder have also been anonymized. The purpose of this video is not to criticize the company or pretend that I can prescribe a complete solution from the outside. It is to show how I look at a founder led business, identify the possible constraint beneath the surface, and determine what I would investigate before recommending a responsible growth and operation strategy. So, this particular company is a founder led skincare brand with a focused product line: individual full size products, bundled routines, a discovery kit, a loyalty program, and a strong values led identity. So the business seems to have been rebuilt around a more intentional model, so that intention should not be separate with the growth strategy. So my initial diagnosis is that the brand has already created emotional connection with their target market. The next stage may be about turning more of that connection into a clearer, repeatable customer behavior. This specific opportunity appears to sit between 4 points. First, customers appreciate what the brand presents. Second, they need to understand confidently what to buy. Third, their first purchase needs to develop into replenishment, a full routine, or a longer term relationship. And fourth, that growth needs to happen without requiring the founder to carry more recurring work and decision making at the same rate. So the problem may not be a lack of products, brand personality, or customer affection. It may be the absence of a fully connected system between those elements. Customers may love the brand before knowing what to buy. The first thing this brand does extremely well is emotional positioning. So the language feels really welcoming. It does not begin by telling customers that their skin is wrong, flawed, aging badly, or in urgent need of correction, basically. So instead, this specific brand presented as supportive, enjoyable, personal, and simple enough to become part of everyday life. And that is a powerful distinction in a skincare industry that often sells through insecurity or fear. However, emotional clarity does not always create buying clarity. So, a first time visitor may appreciate the message and still wonder, okay, which product should I start with? Should I buy one full size product or begin with the discovery kit or the full routine kit? Do I need a simple routine or a complete set? Which bundle fits my actual habits? And how do I make that decision when I do not already understand skincare? So, this creates a very important tension. So, the company should not suddenly turn the experience into a highly clinical assessment that makes it misaligned with the brand. But it still needs to guide the customer. So, the question is, how can the brand make choosing feel easier without making the customer feel corrected, analyzed, or aggressively sold to? So the answer may not always lie with a complicated quiz, which was getting a trend in skincare and other niche industry. It could actually be as much as a gentler product selection pathway based on how much simplicity, support, or ritual the customer actually wants. So, for example, instead of organizing the decision only around products, the brand could organize it around customer situations. A customer who wants the Simplest possible routine should see different starting point from someone who wants the full experience. Customer who wants to try the brand first should not need to compare every full size product. And someone buying a gift should not have to understand the entire skincare range. So the goal is not to increase pressure on customers, but the goal is to reduce uncertainty. Internally, I would want to understand which product do most first-time customers purchase, which product they just receive strong traffic but lower conversion. Do customers regularly ask where to begin, and which first purchase is most likely to lead to a second order? And more importantly, are customers choosing bundles because they understand the routine or simply because they appear to offer better value? So, without this information, I would not decide which product should lead acquisition, but I would immediately investigate whether customers are emotionally ready to buy before they are practically confident enough to choose. Observation 2: the strongest growth opportunity may be after the first order. So, the second observation is where I believe the larger commercial opportunity may exist. So, this company already has many useful pieces. We have replenishable skincare products, discovery kit, individual full size products, complete routines, positive customer reviews, loyalty awards, referral incentives, and personal customer touches. Each one is valuable, but having retention features is not the same as having a connected retention strategy. So the important question is what happens after the customer receives the first order? Does they know how to use the products confidently? Does they know what should they expect from the experience? Does the company help these customers identify which product they like the most? So all these questions are really valuable because a first order should not feel like the end of the customer journey. It should feel like the beginning of a long-term relationship. So this matters because many e-com businesses spend heavily trying to acquire customers they have already acquired before. So they focus on new traffic, new campaigns, and new audiences, while the relationship with previous buyers quietly weakens. So for this business, stronger growth may not require louder marketing. It may come from taking better care of customers who have already chosen the brand. So the discovery kit is especially interesting to me. So on the surface, it is a very useful way for customers to try multiple products, travel with them, or purchase a gift. But commercially, it could also be a bridge. So the real value of the discovery kit is not only the revenue generated when it's sold. The real value may be whether it helps customers discover which full-size products they want to continue using. Internally, I would want to know what percentage of customers purchase again with 30, 60, and 90 days. Which products have the strongest replenishment behavior? What do discovery kit customers buy next? Which purchase leads to the highest long term customer value? How much revenue comes from new customers compared with returning customers? And where does communication currently stop after the first order? So these numbers would reveal whether the company primarily has an acquisition opportunity or a customer progression opportunity. So that specific distinction matters because the strategies are completely different. So if first time conversion is healthy but repeat purchase is weak, more advertising may only increase the number of customers who buy once and disappear. So in that case, acquisition is not solving the deeper problem but actually feeding it. So observation 3: so complexity may return before it becomes obvious. So this specific observation sits more heavily within operations. So the business appears to have been rebuilt around greater focus and intention. And that creates a question. How does the company grow without gradually rebuilding the pressure it was designed to leave behind? So operational complexity rarely return through one decision or one big decision. It normally begins through a series of reasonable ones, like one more product, one more category, one more supplier, one more collaboration, one more marketing channel, one more approval that only the founder can give, one more exception the team has to manage. So individually, none of these decisions seems dangerous per se, but together they can create more inventory exposure, more supplier coordination, more divided customer attention, more founder approvals, more launches, and less visibility. So this is why Not every revenue opportunity is automatically a good business opportunity. So a new product might generate sales but still create weak margins, forecasting pressure, supplier dependence, and additional customer service work. So a new channel might increase reach but also create more reporting, fulfillment, exemptions, and content demands. While a new collaboration might look aligned publicly while creating heavy coordination behind the scenes. So the business therefore needs a strategic filter. Future opportunities should not only be evaluated by asking, can this generate revenue? But they should also be evaluated by asking, does it strengthen the core range? Does it deepen the customer relationship? Does it produce healthy margin? Does the commercial return justify the inventory and operational effort? And does it fit to the long term vision of the brand? So the goal should be to preserve the founder's presence in the areas customers genuinely value without requiring her to remain at the center of every recurring activity and decision. And that distinction is important. Founder led does not have to mean founder dependent. The founder may remain central to product direction, storytelling, customer connection, and major strategic decisions, but routine reporting, customer support, replenishment communication, inventory visibility, content scheduling, and recurring execution should not all need to pass through one person. So internally, I will want to understand which responsibilities still require the founder's direct approval, what work stops when she is unavailable, which task gives her energy, and which recurring tasks drain her capacity, and how are new products and opportunities currently evaluated, and is the team supporting the business the founder wants to build or only reacting to the business as it currently operates. Based on this company's apparent values and direction, I would not begin by recommending much larger product SKUs or catalog, aggressive discounting, high volume influencer campaigns, more content without a defined customer journey, heavy paid ads before understanding repeat purchasing. The brand strength is not that it behaves like every other e-com business. Its strength is that it does not, and that's its distinction. The commercial and operational strategy should protect that unique value proposition. So, without access to internal information, I would not prescribe a full implementation plan, but I would investigate three connected priorities. The first is creating a clearer entry into the brand. How can new customers understand where to begin without making the process overwhelming or clinical? Second is building a stronger path after the first purchase. How do discovery kit customers, individual product customers, and bundle customers progress into replenishment and longer term product relationships? And third is creating operational guardrails for intentional growth. So, how does the company evaluate margin, customer value, inventory exposure, founder involvement, and operational cost before adding more products, channels, or activity? So, these three are connected. If customers cannot choose easily, then conversion suffers. If customers do not progress after buying, retention suffers. And if growth creates uncontrolled complexity, the founder and operations suffer. So a healthy growth strategy needs to address all three. So my final perspective or overall perspective about this is that this brand does not appear to need a dramatic reinvention at all. It already has a meaningful brand identity, customer warmth, and a focused product experience. So, and also like a founder vision that is very distinct from others. So, the larger opportunity may be to strengthen the structure beneath that identity so that customers can begin more confidently and their first purchases develop into lasting routines, and then opportunities become easier to evaluate and the founder's role becomes more intentional as the business grows. So the next stage is not about making this company more like other e-com brands or skincare brands, but it is about helping it become stronger and more sustainable version of itself. So if you are a founder and parts of this diagnosis sound familiar to you, maybe your customer love your brand but struggle to choose, repeat purchases are inconsistent, or growth is slowly creating more work and complexity, I would be interested to hear what stage your business is currently in. So I work selectively with founder-led businesses across growth and operations, and my work begins by identifying what is making growth harder than it should be, what remains too dependent on the founder, and what needs to be strengthened and improved before adding more activity. So you can find more diagnoses like this on this channel, and if you believe your company may benefit from this kind of thinking, You can learn more about Struktekale through the link in the description. Subscribe if you want to see more founder-led businesses analyzed through the lens of customer growth, operational clarity, and sustainable scale. Happy scaling, and I'll see you in the next diagnosis.